republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I'm going to call this City Council, Mountain Grove, Missouri, Monday, January 13th, 2025 to order. First of all, Brenda, go right ahead.
I asked the mayor if I might have just a minute. I have been so impressed with the job that our street crew has done on our streets that I just want to thank you guys. I think it's above and beyond what I have seen done anywhere. Rhonda looked at the pictures of it. I showed my daughter and sent it to her on the phone in St. Louis. She said, well, Mother, we don't even have clean streets like that. So we've got the best here in Mountain Grove. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Bo, appreciate it.
Bo, stretch your hat out one more.
That's where that button.
All right, got a couple other things, but we're going to do that a little bit closer down at the bottom. Council, in front of you, you have the minutes from the last meeting. Kim, you did note that the mayor was tardy. He started about 3 minutes late, didn't you? The meeting. You can go ahead and put that in there since it was my fault. So we have those. We don't have any amendments or corrections. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Webb and Mark to approve those. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. On page 2, we have an appointment, Carmen McCarty for Ward 4. I'm going to read something here first, and then we're going to take care of that. To whom it may concern, as of January the 7th, 2025, I resign from my position as Alderman of Ward 4, Mountain Grove, Missouri. Tammy Custer. Okay. Carmen, if you'll come up. Kim, if you'll swear her in. We're going to put her to work right now. Bobby, if you'll get a picture, please.
Make it a good. Where do you
No chat stuff, whatever. Change it around any. And make sure you don't get me in
Raise your
it.
right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Carmen McCarty,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of the
Constitution
United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Missouri
of the state of Missouri
and the ordinances of the city of Mountain Grove,
and the ordinances of the city of Mountain Grove,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in the office of Alderman. Kind of crazy there.
Yeah.
And I will faithfully demean myself
and I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of Alderman,
in the office of Alderman
Ward 4,
in Ward 4,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome.
You get to sit over there with all those guys on that side, Carmen.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And Webb gets to sit on
Brenda,
here.
Who's the lucky man that lives
All right, moving right along. Fire Department report, Chief Givens.
How are y'all?
Good.
All right. So, month of December, we wrapped up the year, 186 calls. That's up from the previous year. Looking at the pace, kind of trying to trend it a little bit, I think we'll probably hit somewhere close to 15. Just noticing that more people are calling 911 and we're going out more. So I'm looking in the next couple of months to start putting on some more state certification classes. Looking more at instructor 1, officer 1, the Corps, and then that'll be open to anybody, but you know, with the main focus on the Mountain Grove firefighters getting those and getting them under their belts. When it warms up, we're going to start splitting out and teaming up with the water department, going around and checking all the hydrants, making sure they're visible, they're not sunk in the ground, no repairs needed, they work,
That they have water.
that they have water going to them. You know, just making sure that they're noticeable and we can see them if we need them. I ordered more address numbers. We're still working on that project. Seems like more pop up than put some up and more pop up. So I've ordered more numbers for that. Our EMS training entity inspection with the Bureau of EMS is scheduled for January 24th. They're basically going to come in, look at our training facility, our equipment and everything, and see if we're eligible to teach an EMT class, if we have all the stuff to do that. Speaking with one of the ladies that's coming down, she doesn't see any issues with anything. So we should have that by hopefully end of month, and then I'm looking at putting an EMT class on probably March. Give people time to sign up for it. Let's see. Finished up and submitted our AFG grant last day. It's for a Class A mobile fire training trailer. After doing some research, I found out that the training tower itself doesn't qualify for an AFG grant this year for some reason. This is on there, so we're gonna try it. It's still about the same price, but it'll be mobile. Somewhere we can tote it somewhere else and do live fire training over there, make sure we have enough water. With the AFG grant, if we do get it, we qualify for the 5%. So out of the $315,000-ish that would be, the city would only be on the line for $8,000, which is and that's pretty much all I have.
See, we'd be on part of the grant would be 8,000, and how much was the total?
$315,000.
Questions, council, for the chief? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Be
you.
safe, appreciate it. Was your power out at the fire station?
It was. I'm working on fixing it.
Was it mess up anything?
No, it didn't mess anything up. It just had to push the doors up. But we were able to get out.
Lesson learned, huh? Yeah, that big pole or something.
Yeah.
Now, what's the other fire station across the railroad tracks being used for now? Just storage
Over here, or the one
by Lake
that we
Lily?
moved from? We've got a couple of trucks in there, which keeps the pump from freezing up in the winter time and stuff. Eventually, probably not this budget year, but I'm probably gonna ask for a little bit of money to beautify that one a little bit, maybe put a bed in there. That way, if we have a weather event or something, I can send people to more than just one station.
Okay. Okay, good, thank you.
Good evening. Busy month. I spent last week one day in Springfield for highway safety traffic grant class. Hopefully we'll get some overtime money for it and some much needed equipment. We finished the year up with just a little over 10,000 calls for service this year, which is up. Citations and traffic stops were up. We were down just a little bit on calls for not calls for service, but actual incident reports to the prosecutor. But Overall, it was a good year for us. We just continue seeing our numbers grow. There's no shortage of crime, that's for sure, in this area, but yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm still waiting on a grant to see if we get it on some other equipment. Hopefully in this next month we'll be hearing about it, but that's about where we're at. We do have our newest officer. He's just started the academy today, so he's got 6 months, and hopefully he'll be ready to go to work. So we've got one
Danny,
grant.
the grant that you went to Springfield for, that highway safety, what equipment? I know that's overtime for traffic, but what equipment?
Probably look for some radars, things like that. So we have some that really need to be updated. So
Anything with, out on the 4-lane about annexing? Larry, have you heard anything about that yet, or?
We're trying to put it together.
Okay, that's kind of red tape like the government takes a while, don't it?
It does.
Okay. Council, any questions for the chief?
How are we on, are we full right now? Are we still manned down?
we're in the academy,
So
so,
we'll be,
right.
and
We'll be
the
full.
one will graduate when?
I've got one graduating in May and one graduating in June. So we can see the end in sight. So, or the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess is what I should have said. But hopefully it's not the end in sight.
And Danny, congratulations on the upcoming election. I mean, I think that bodes well for you and your staff with the community, you know, that you don't have anybody running against you, and they have the confidence and that you guys are doing a good job.
I appreciate
So
it.
appreciate and be safe, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Congratulations on the new grandbaby.
Thank you.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Great coming up
Yeah.
there.
We're proud, aren't we, Dad?
Yeah, pretty proud of that one.
Grandpa and great-grandpa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, give us the statistics. Boy or girl?
It's a girl, 6 pounds, 6 pounds, 14 ounces. She was 19 3/4 inches long. She was born Thursday at 6:38 p.m.
Name?
Kaylin Alice.
Caitlin Alice. Okay. Beautiful name.
Yep. So,
And our job is to,
make mom and dad miserable by spoiling this one.
Oh, you know that's recorded, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That can be a public record.
we're gonna tag team that baby.
Thank you. Council, in front of you, you have the senior citizen report. I think that's up a little bit. Right, Becky? I think it's 4,700. It's up a little bit. I think implementing the Wednesday meals made a difference too. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move on to animal control. Jordan, if you want to come up and talk to us.
Jordan's gonna kind of recap her year here, and then she'll speak again when we get.
We've got another ordinance to talk about, don't we? Okay.
Calls for service this year, I responded to 1,202 calls for service. That was up 67% from 2023. I responded to 804 in 2023. Intakes on animals, up 63%. I finished the year with 280 intakes into our shelter. Last year was 177, so that number just continues to go up every single year. Overall, it was a good year. I investigated several abandonment cases, some of them very big. We were able to figure out where some of the dogs were coming from and get that taken care of. I worked 2 pretty big hoarding and neglect cases, and then several just neglect cases that didn't involve hoarding. When I got our inspection from the Department of Ag, we were compliant with everything. So that was good. That was the first time in a long time that we've been completely compliant. Overall, everything's really going good. We're receiving a lot of support from the community. There's been several times when we've had a bunch of dogs in the shelter and people just start bringing dog food or bringing bowls, flea and tick medication, dewormer. It's just been really amazing. Very humbling to see the support that we have from the community. So, Urban Dog has been very supportive. Wright County Extension Office, both of them did supply drives, and we didn't ask for this. This was just something that they did on their own. overall, from what I added up, I think we probably got right around a half a ton of dog food and cat food donated to us this year. And then just tons of other supplies, dewormer, stuff like that. So it's been really good, and we have a great community.
Jordan, how's your cat coalition going?
It's going good. So we actually got our own, like everything's official for a nonprofit. We were able to do that last month. We still have about 15 volunteers. We did TNR at 122 cats, which is pretty good for our first year. It comes out to about 8,100 kittens prevented in Mountain Grove in 2 years' time. We're educating the public, just really trying to outreach to people and helping them to understand why TNR works, and it's been good. Lots of support from the community for that as well.
And of the 280 intakes into your system here in the pound, are you having, what happens to those? Are you having been able to relocate them and redo things, or?
Yeah, so about half of them were reclaimed by their owners. The other half, they wind up getting adopted out, or I have worked with some rescues. Rescues right now are pretty full, so I'm struggling to get dogs into rescues, but so far we've not had to euthanize any adoptable animals or anything like that. Everything's gone well, and I've been networking and reaching out to rescues to get them into other places if we can't get them adopted.
There's not really any rescues close, is there?
No, there's not. I've shipped dogs as far as Wisconsin, Colorado, all over the place. So it really is a network of people to get the dogs moved out of here and into better situations.
Okay, good, thank you. Council, questions, comments, anything?
What needs do you have right now? What are your largest needs?
Good. Like I said, we have lots of dog food and stuff. I mean, I put a pallet and we've got dog food stacked up. Our biggest concern right now is the vet bills. A lot of times when people abandon dogs in town, it's not healthy dogs. So that's the biggest concern right now is the vet bills. But we have everything handled, and I mean, it's all going good. It's just a lot of dogs. So.
How many days do they stay in the pound?
We hold them for 7 days to try and locate the owner, and then the ordinance says that we can keep them for up to 20 to try and get them adopted out. So from the day they come in, I have 20 days to find them a home or find them a rescue to go to.
And what's the maximum number count or head or count?
That I can
How many
have.
animals can you have? How many dogs?
Our shelter is built to hold 6 animals, but I've had more than that in there because I can take friendly dogs and double them up, split the dogs from inside and outside pens. We've had as many as 23 in the shelter at one time.
Okay.
I'm curious on the vehicles we did, are you in the new truck?
Yes.
Liking it?
Yes, I love it. It's much better. There's a lot more room for me to carry my equipment and everything, and it's worked out very well.
Did you get a new box in the back, or is it the same box?
It's the same box, but the box, I love the dog box. There's no issues with it. It's fantastic, so, yep.
The old truck was a single cab, this was a quad cab?
Yes, yeah, in the old truck, I had to put like my tranquilizer gun and everything behind the seat, and it was pretty crowded. So this gives me enough room where I can keep all of my gear more accessible in case of an emergency situation or something like that.
And Jordan, how often
Well, the guys are great. Sometimes they'll just show up. If they hear that I'm dealing with an aggressive dog or something like that, they will just show up and be there in case I need them. So I would say overall, not very often that I actually need them, but regularly they just show up to be there in case I need anything.
that shows a camaraderie and collaboration with you and the police department, Danny's people. If they hear something and they go, if they think there's going to be a problem, that's commend your officers, Danny, on doing that. I mean, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we don't have any problems.
Yep, they're fantastic.
Okay, anything else?
Mayor, I'd just like to say she does a tremendous job communicating with my office. We move a lot of cases through. Her and Ashley have a very good working relationship. And Jordan's really great. She really does a good job.
Thank you.
Jordan, thank you. We really appreciate all your work, which when you started and what you've done. Good job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be probably talking to you here a little bit later on too.
Okay.
All right. Jamie Davis, Citizens Advisory.
I haven't heard from Preston all about a meeting, so the weather, I think, has been a barrier. So nothing to report, but Becky and I talked about like directive to give them and really kind of summarizing the things that they've brought to us, higher priorities, just kind of
Action items.
action items
That-
in the next year. So yeah, just kind of give us a little bit of feedback for the year to come, and also coordinating that with our strategic plan. So that's the directive that next meeting they'll have a chance to meet and we'll have more to talk about.
Do you have a directive, items on that directive, or?
They do, because they, through their meetings over the past year, they've had several things that they kind of prioritized as
And you
things
just
that
want
when
that?
they put it out and say, okay, these are some real action items we think are high priority, and just kind of prioritize that
Okay.
list for us.
Yeah.
All right, good enough. Anyone on the public comment? I don't think there is anyone out there, so if not, we'll move on. All right, swimming pool, we have a, Becky, you and Jamie have something here on this.
Well, I mean, I kind of cover it in my admin report. So I met with Brad from Creative Pool Concepts. I did include some photos for you of some of the commercial pools that they've done. When it gets into dealing with grants and municipality pools, he preferred that those be designed by, so I don't say the name wrong, I have it in my, let's see. All right, so he referred me on to, you guys saw the Landmark Aquatic, what I gave to you before on their design build program. Brad talked about the same kind of thing when they do commercial pools. They do the same kind of thing, a design build, and actually his costs were a little bit cheaper. But as we got to talking more about going through grants and stuff to do all of this, and possibly the possibility of prevailing wage and all of that, he preferred that we go through Westport Pools out of St. Louis to do the municipal projects. When I called them, they had sold out to Landmark Aquatic. So Landmark Aquatic now owns, because they purchased Westport Pools out of St. Louis, and they purchased Progressive Commercial Aquatic out of Houston, and so now Landmark Aquatic is considered one of the largest and the top in the industry because they've bought out several of these companies. So we're kind of back to the Landmark Aquatic design build process, which their bid, I don't have it in front of me, but it was around
9,800 or something.
yeah.
9750.
Yeah, I think I do have it in front of me. 9750. You know, is that the direction that you're wanting to go? Do you want to start the design build process? Do you want me to look for more companies out there that will do municipal pools? Some of them that are out there won't come to this area because they're quite a ways out. So the ones that I've contacted, the Westport, Landmark, those like Creative Pool and some of these companies that do commercial pools, they kind of stay away from the municipal.
Before they come, Becky, do we need to have chosen the site that it's gonna be built on?
Well, I mean, that's kind of you'll have to, because when they design it and build it, they're gonna design it and build it to fit that spot, so yes, you would.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move we hire this company.
Pardon?
I move that we hire this company.
Okay. Dale, I was looking at this, and Becky, I guess I have a question. They're gonna do what they said in the list that they're gonna do for the amount of money. Anything extra is on that price sheet down below.
Right.
Okay, all right, that was my question.
They do have an additional services cost in there, but
just
What's
like
in-
any contractor.
Yeah,
Right.
what's included in the 9750 is outlined on those first 2 pages.
Right.
And is this just good for, a year, or it's just once we get a design, we can hold on to what we bought for?
Well, the
Couple
design
years.
would be good for a long time. They're not gonna really give you, they'll give you an idea, you're not gonna be putting it out for bids right then to get costs on what it would cost to build
We
it.
could design it, and it could be years before we can build it.
Their idea is that it's gonna be hard to get people behind it or to raise money if you don't show them what you're planning on putting there.
So this gets us our full design, and then, yeah.
Does it give blueprints? It does.
Give you,
I saw it on here where it said digital 3D rendering.
mhm.
Now Becky, this is something that Toth, not necessarily Toth, but an engineering company like that, they don't do this.
No, they'll refer you to somebody like
They
this.
refer
They
to
do
that.
have a division that will work on that, but you would probably get Toth involved, maybe at some point anyway.
They would probably be,
But they will give you a construction budget that will give you an idea of whatever you do design, what it would cost you to build it now. Obviously, that's gonna change depending on when you actually build something, but.
do you have anyone else that's done this? And I just paid $10,000 for them to do something, and were they happy with it?
I don't know. I did have him give me, which I haven't followed up on yet, this Landmark Aquatic guy did send me some references
Okay.
that we could check.
Okay.
If you
Well, I
want me
mean,
to-
they've done
If you
some-
want me to check those
No,
before we
if they've done
actually,
some, right.
before we actually.
Becky,
make
one
the-
Smart to
question.
do.
Is this company got the design and architecture division plus a construction division?
This company does. They can do
So
it
they
all.
can
They do it all.
They can take it cradle to grave, or they just
They
take the
can.
design part,
If you
and get us
wanted
through
to,
the
you
grant
could hire them
process,
to do the whole thing.
and we'd farm it out to
Yes.
3 other contractors if we
Yes.
wanted to. But we can go either way down the road.
This was just his recommendation when he came and met and said what you want to build yet, where you want to build it, what you're wanting to build, how are you going to sell it to your community or start fundraising process or anything without that. And so this is that phase of
If
it.
they build it, they're gonna have to do prevailing wage? Or can they
It'll
subcontract to
just
local
depend
people?
on what you end up getting as far as grants. whether
Because
you
if they do this, I mean, just like Dale said, can they
I mean,
can they
if-
get someone to
if
do
we
the
just-
concrete local?
If we just do it without grant money, if you do fundraising or something, you would not have to pay prevailing
Okay.
wage, but
All
if you get grant money, you would.
All right, Dale, I still have that. Any other questions or comments before I ask for a second?
Yes, we're talking about 2 different companies, so
Yes,
you're recommending we go with Landmark Aquatic,
correct.
but you've given us pictures from another company, so I'm a little.
Well, this
confused.
was the other one that I checked with.
Right.
And this is what they gave me before he called me and told me that.
Okay, so you just went ahead and left
They
them.
don't do
But now they're all one company now. There's no two, there's Landmark, right?
Not
Well,
these 2.
Creative Pool still exists to do like commercial type pools.
But they don't
When
want to
it
take on
comes-
a.
But
When
they
it
don't-
comes to
yeah.
the municipal side, that has sold out,
Right.
that part of their company has sold out to Landmark.
So Creative. No, okay, that was it, okay.
So you're recommending Landmark Aquatic based on
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, it's the
Yeah, I
only player I
mean,
know about. I know she had 2 visits.
Like these, we just need to turn them over.
Who was the company
Yeah.
that came the second visit to the city?
Creative Concepts.
Okay,
Or Creative Pool Concepts.
okay.
And now they're part of Landmark.
But when he came, it wasn't quite as involved. Once he found out exactly what was gonna be involved, we were gonna be using grant funding, it kinda changed.
It's a 4-year cycle. He didn't want to wait 4 years probably either.
He just said when it gets into the municipal side of it, it gets a little more involved, and usually with the grants, they require some engineering that the other side needed to do. And then they said they sold out to this other company.
Okay. Any other questions? I have a motion to second to approve this Landmark for the sum of $9,750 to do the initial study to do that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Carolyn seconded. Webb, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you put a little asterisk by that, Carmen? That's her first vote. That's her first one. Okay. All right, moving right along.
So what, can I just ask after this, what's next step? So we,
I will contact the gentleman with Landmark, and now you guys are gonna have to make a decision on where you want it for him to start the process.
Well, they'll do 2 sites on here, that's what they said, they'll look
Yeah,
at
they
2
will do
sites.
too.
Okay. So.
And you've got it, is it, I just forgot the name of the fund, but the extra fund is where it's gonna come out of, for, it'll be this fiscal? Yeah.
It'll be this fiscal year.
What's the term?
The
I'm trying to come up
600,
with?
the
Yeah,
capital
the 600.
improvements,
fund,
yes.
yeah.
As far as the 10,000, is
Yeah,
that what you're
the
talking
10,000
about?
will come from, yeah.
Okay, now we're doing water meter contract, AB. You also get a copy of that, didn't you?
Yeah, the A and the B is on there. So this was approved with the budget this year, that we were going to purchase the meters and enter into the meter contract that will give us the radio read meters, which is gonna improve our system immensely. The problem is, since the time that they first contacted us, and at that time, we couldn't even get all the meters, but now, you know, COVID had kind of slowed everything down. Now we're back up where we can get more of them, so they're ready to enter into the contract, but along with that came increased costs. It was not set in stone when they gave us that at budget time.
So we didn't delay on them, they delayed on us. and then
Yeah,
they-
well, time. Things have changed a little bit since then. So they would not let us lock into anything until they knew when we would be able to get
Dirty
the
birds.
equipment. So,
How much
at the
all told?
time, so it was, if I pulled the ones that we had before, so at the time, budget time, it was 599,000 was the total. And if you see on the one that we included with your, agenda, it is now 620,000, so basically
$21,000 more.
is what the increase is. The financing at the time was going to be 5.71%, and the payments each year would be $80,806.44, which is what we budgeted for. And
You
they
say 80?
$80,806.44, and that is, you know, we paid off, we finished out a payment in the water department, and so this was gonna take the place of that.
How much is the interest, I'm sorry, 5.5?
5.7, but he sent me an update on that. Here, let me get it. He just sent it to me right before council meeting.
We can't get that money cheaper locally?
So he sent me, the interest rate has went down to 5.66, and the payment would be $83,329.62, because we're at $21,000 more. So the payment would be, so the payment was gonna be $80,806.44, and now it will be $83,329.62, so it made about a little less than $3,000 difference in the month, in the payment.
How many years?
10 annual payment, sorry, I think I said monthly. So we did save a little bit of interest from that time. We can put it out, this is the government capital, which does a lot of financing through Core and Main, which is where we would be getting the meters from, and who will be doing the software support. But we can advertise locally and see if we can beat that amount, and see if we can get some financing locally.
Because all they're doing is, they're not carrying the note, they're just selling the note to this other place, right?
Right. The main thing we need to pass tonight is, I can work on the financing side of it, is that we need to go ahead and commit to the 620,000 and the software agreement that's attached to your agenda. That we need to approve tonight so that we lock this price in, so they can't go any higher on us.
Have you read that software agreement?
I have not I would let Larry read it before we send it back in.
What is the length of time that payments would have to be made yearly?
10 years.
10 years. Bobby, are you familiar with this program?
I sat in on some of the meetings when they were giving us their pitch.
Larry, do you?
Go ahead. So, this right here, when they put the meter in, the meter at my house and at everyone's house, you can go online and see how much water you're using and if you have a leak, right? Is that what I'm
sorry, what?
When we put these meters in, it says there's 2,000 meters and it's so much a meter per deal. So I can go online on the city for my meter and see how much I'm doing on a daily basis. And if my meter's running crazy and I'm gone, I can check my meter to see if it's running. And that's what this is for.
It won't be consistent live readings, so we won't be able to remotely turn it on or off or see exactly how much is going through at that second. But it does probably 20 or 15 updates daily. So maybe.
Well, it's not gonna be live right that minute.
So, but say they read it at 11 o'clock, they may read it again at 12,
Right.
within an hour.
And it could show difference.
Which is better than having your, if you got
But
a
on
leak.
a
having-
daily basis,
Once a
on a
day
daily
would be fine.
basis, they would be able to monitor their
Yeah.
usage, yes.
But it's still at the meter. If there's a leak from the meter to my house, it's not gonna, it's, the only thing it's gonna say is, hey, Fred, your water's running. Okay, which would tell you that you've got a leak somewhere.
We'll get alerts a lot quicker.
Okay, right. Now, the alert with City Hall.
I expect it should go through our billing system
Okay.
eventually.
Does
It
2,000
will
cover all
also,
of our
it will
residents?
also allow radio reads, so the guys, it will make the meter reading be a lot
It'll
easier.
save them a ton of time.
Son of-
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, you're talking $80,000 a year in payments. I mean, I'm not saying we don't need another employee, but how long does it take an employee to, how many hours a day does it take an employee to read that?
Well, I mean, they
Send
read
2
usually
guys out 2
about,
days.
about 3 or 4 days.
So
Two-
so that's
two guys,
almost
3 or
a
4 days
week
a
right
month.
there that they could be doing something else. So if you take into consideration of that, you're saving, I mean, say they make,
But to save
You
and
know.
pay for it, you have to get rid of somebody. And is that what?
no, I mean, they could be doing something else. I mean, you're not
Keep them
gonna,
from
we're not
having to
gonna
hire
get rid of
somebody in
someone.
another
but-
department.
Right,
Trust
but
me, they always have plenty to do,
I mean, that's,
in the water department.
because whenever they take them away from this, they could be.
From having to hire somewhere else, maybe, yeah.
Exactly, right.
And
Well,
what are
and
some of the other benefits and upgrades from our current system that will come along with this, as far as helping the customer and
I mean,
us
that's gonna be your
checking for
biggest
leaks?
things, and Carmen knows is better than anybody here, that a lot of times those leaks, those are the things that create the biggest issues with our customers and frustration levels with customers, because we're always a month behind on reading. So most of the time, they don't find out that they've had a leak until they've had a leak for a couple of months, and then they're really frustrated with us at this.
Oh,
We
well,
don't
yeah,
have
that's
the-
why we're even looking into this.
Yeah.
I understand all that, but like,
That's gonna
is
be
it
a
going
huge
to affect the
benefit.
billings that are going out? Is it gonna lessen
It's gonna be,
burden on that?
it'll be more consistent, you won't have your guys having to go out and manually read the meters. Right now, depending on the weather, your guys are out on certain days, they try to read the last few days of the month. This is gonna be consistent, you're gonna have readings cut off a certain time each month.
And you can
So
shut it
it'll
off
be
in here,
more
right?
consistent.
Can't you shut the water off?
No,
We
can't
will
shut
not
it
be
off
able to do
remotely
that.
with
If you
this.
are gonna shut it off, we will still have to send somebody out to physically shut them off.
And on this page back here, it says cost per meter per month is $3.36. I don't know whether that's interest or what that is, but that's pretty reasonable. It's on that last page.
Um,
back there.
I think they're just, that's just what they're
Do other
saying, your
towns-
month, your
Do
annual
other
payment.
towns around here have this system,
Mhm.
and they're
We're
pleased
kinda
with it?
behind, yeah, we're kinda
Okay.
behind, yeah.
Will the same billing go out? Will it be I mean, it's gonna be
It's still
different
gonna
than we
integrate.
have now. right?
Well-
Like, is it a postcard type,
That,
envelope?
we can change that with our billing at any time. We could go to postcard. It's, the way it integrates with our system is not gonna change what the bill looks like. We can
So-
still change
So this
that,
doesn't, we're not purchasing,
the billing side of it.
okay, there's no billing part included.
So this ain't a
Except
QuickBooks
that the
or a
information from
water
these
billing
meters
system.
Thank you,
is
Bobby.
gonna work with our billing system. Like
Our
it's gonna,
current one.
it'll
Okay.
integrate with our current billing system,
So it
yes.
would notify the customers if there was a leak through our
Right.
billing system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then also another thing is the safety of our guys too. You know, there's animals behind some of these meters and they can't access.
And this goes along with what we were talking about too with the insurance thing. I think this is, for me, it's kind of an insurance, so I know, instead of me having to buy, which I know it's from, at least I would know, other than if I'm gone, if my water's leaking, I wouldn't have to wait 2 or
Well,
3 days to see what it's, you know,
And the
it's
thing
kinda,
is, we're gonna have to update a lot of our meters. We still have some old meters out there that still need to be replaced. This gives you an opportunity to go ahead and replace those old meters that are gonna have to be done anyway. Let's put the radio read on them, let's get them
you know,
updated.
just get the technology there. to
Our guys will be
save it.
doing the work. We're not gonna be paying them to do the work. They're gonna,
Is there any touching grants or anything, help that we can get for this? No?
no.
Brad, I make a motion, we pass
You can get
this.
it for construction.
I'll make a
and
second.
stuff.
I have a motion and a second that we do the amount of money that's what it says. As-
620.
The
as-
620,
as read.
250.
215.
We have made a motion, Mark seconded, Mark, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
Larry, when
Yes.
you get a chance, you can look over that service agreement before we,
Have you sent it to me yet?
it's attached to your agenda. Well, you get the,
Oh,
the one
I
on
haven't
the,
seen it yet.
it's attached to it.
Now, on that agreement, it has every councilman's name and all, is that the one with, you have to list every councilman and all that, or was that on that other one?
It's on this one.
Right, okay, all right, good enough. All right, we got that taken care of. Home serve program, Becky.
Well, we talked about this a month or two ago. I'm not sure exactly which agenda it was on. But it was and I put a copy of that back on here today because we didn't have it attached to it, but it's the NLC service line program. And that's where they're saying, you know, it wouldn't cost, there wouldn't be any expense to the city. We would get a 10% rebate on it. People could opt in depending on what level they want to do as far as external lines, in-home plumbing, with some limitations on there. So that's on there. You guys probably saw in front of you, I put a paper in front of you called City Rebate Service Plan.
What was the name of the first one that?
It was
It was
called Home Serve. This one that I attached to you is called NLC.
Yes, I see that.
I contacted, the city of Salem to find out. I, through email, called and left messages, and I never could get anybody to call me back or email me back on, and all I asked them was just, if you can call me back, let me know if you've implemented it, do you have very many people participating, and I never got a response from them. This last one, the NLC service line program, that I gave you guys. Now, the city rebate service plan, if you guys remember the last time when we were talking about it, Dale proposed an idea that the city could do their own type of plan, and that's what this sheet is, and this was actually brought to my office today by Dale, and I'm gonna let him talk a little bit about it, his idea.
Well, basically, I just looked at the other plan at $15 a month, and I thought we could do it in-house for $3 a month times our 6,000 customers. And that would give us enough money in account to forgive or rebate their water leak and sewer rate if we had one. And I would, on the example, they would have to pay their standard average water bill in 1 month deductible, but then in amount over that amount would be rebated back after they had it repaired by a plumber and after they showed us the parts list and they went to the hardware store and bought the parts to fix it. We'd come back out and inspect it when we turn the water on and off for them. They could fill out the application, get their water rebate.
So what he's saying is, if they paid $3 a month, that you would automatically put that on everybody's bill. And then they would, if they want to opt out, they can, but if they opt out, then they would not be eligible for a rebate for a year. And they would have to stay off the program for a year if they opt out of it. But if they stay in it for the $3 per month fee, then that, instead of us just taking part of their sewer bill off, that would make them eligible like his example, that they would be able to get a rebate on, as far as a water leak, up to $2,500 per year.
Okay, so Dale.
And then it would be done in-house. We would not be using a third party that would be doing the billing. Because to me, still, even though they say they're gonna do the billing and stuff, our utility department is still gonna have to deal with a third party as far as,
Getting the money from them and having.
yeah, I just still think that there's gonna be, they're saying it's pretty simple. This one is more simple than the first one that we looked at, the home serve, because the home serve actually added it to their bill here with the city. And this one, they deal directly with the customers, so it would not go through our billing system. But then you're still dealing with a third party. Call here, they're gonna want us to bring the bills to us, they're gonna say, here's how I got it fixed, and they're gonna want us to be the go-between between them and this company, trying to help them get their rebate money back. You know, if we're gonna have to do all that, I kind of agree with Dale a little bit, why don't we just do it in-house? Offer it, and this isn't something we have to decide tonight, obviously, if you guys wanna take some time and look at this, but, you know, if that money went into that account to handle those, and we don't have that many that happens in a year. Huge ones last year, what did we have, maybe 3? That was over $1,000.
So,
Now, we might have several, that you might have less than 10 that are gonna be a $300 water bill. But like Dale was saying today, on somebody in a fixed income, a $300 water bill can be kinda devastating. Monthly bills. So
But the
if,
new
and
meters-
right now, if they have a $300 water bill, all we can do is adjust we can adjust the sewer side of it.
But the new meters should help with this also.
True.
well, my thing is, I like Dale's point, but Dale, break it down for me.
Okay,
I'm at my house,
sure.
from my meter to my house breaks. I got a water leak. My bill's up, say it's $500. The city, are they gonna pay for my repairs or just the water and sewer?
Just your water and sewer bill. We're
Okay.
not,
We're not doing the
we're not
repair
plumbers, and
part.
we're not out there digging on
Okay.
it past our meter.
Now-
The meter's as far as we can go as the city.
That's where this service
The
line
meter to the house is
program,
on the customer.
it does pay for the call coverage and
It's
their,
5 times as much too.
Right. And
Exactly.
to me, I like this
they would be
because,
paying $17 if they wanted.
right,
You know,
if
the
you
girls
do the
at the front
$3,
counter,
if you do the $3 and you say, when this account, you had 3 in a row and this account's wiped out or had 10, as long as there's still an insurance in there that if you 4 people's water messed up and there's only $10,000 in that account, it's all gone, I still am gonna get some, even if there's no money. And then after the first year or two, whenever that amount gets high and we haven't had any, drop it down to $2 or $1. I mean, if that's, I think that would be a selling point too, because,
well, yeah, if there's a margin or a spread at the end of the year,
right,
we have already committed for it on our last vote we had a few minutes ago. We're gonna spend $25,000 a year on a service plan for those meters we.
exactly.
And this right here might give it a push.
And Webb's point about having the new
Offset.
meters, I think that'll make a difference too.
That's what he was saying.
Offset.
You might have money left in there that will help offset. some.
Because we
Our
said
water
we're paying
department never
$2,000 a
makes
year for
money.
payments, but
Yeah.
we're gonna be paying $107,000 a year, because we're paying $24,000 a year for our service agreement.
You know, most of the time when the people come in and they've had an issue, yeah, it's hard for them to get it repaired, but their complaint with us isn't so much the cost of the repair, it's the fact that they feel like we should work with them on how much water they lost in the meantime. And part
Okay.
of it is because we don't catch it, and, for a month.
Yeah, we don't catch it till 60 days later, then they're,
Well, Dale,
Yeah.
you have houses, rental houses, is there any aftermarket thing that you can put on your meters to show? I mean, that you get it, is there anything that's out there?
Yeah.
ADT, I just seen a commercial on that.
they've been underwater and
Huh?
security
They do
for
what?
$29.99 a month or something.
I don't have always idea about price.
Because I mean, you know. I mean, when I was looking at this, I can shut my water off of the house, which stops it in the house. But, you know, if I'm gone a week and I've got water running, now,
You'd be surprised at how many houses in this town don't have cutoffs. So if they do get a leak, doesn't matter whether it's underneath the sink, where it's at in the house, it's gonna keep flowing because there's no shut-offs.
there's no shut off coming into the
A
house.
No.
lot of the houses do not.
But those new meters, Bo, are you familiar with the new ones? Have you seen them?
I've seen the new ones that they're putting in, yeah.
And the new ones that are putting in are adaptable to this program.
Yes,
Supposed to be, yes.
yes.
And
Been replacing over the last year, we have ordered this meter. It's just that they don't have the radio read added to it.
Okay.
So we will go back and add that to the ones.
And
that they've
they
already-
still have a shut off right there where you can shut the meter off.
Yeah,
The clamp-on meters are about $500 to do your own,
Checking.
to do it at home. Yeah.
So you can buy that for $500, or you can pay $36 a year and have your water paid for if you have a leak. The $500 don't pay your water bill.
and especially some of the ones that have bigger usage anyway, like, you know, Bill Rainey had a major leak up there where he was at. They're gonna, I think those bigger ones, they're gonna, yeah.
Because Bill Rainey has one meter. So he's only gonna pay $3
Oh.
for the whole thing. Which, you know, that may be an issue too. Business. being
Can you
business.
have different residents in this town on different programs? Can you have this one for the ones that want it, and then ones that uses multiple thousands of gallons of water a month?
Well, what you could have is a residential and a commercial rate.
Yeah, I think that would be
So
something.
you maybe wanna
Yeah.
think about if you wanna do $3 a month for residential and $5 a month for commercial or something.
Cause I mean, that'd be a bargain for Bill Rainey.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't wanna split it, I would either do residential or commercial, because it's
Right.
split in our system that way, so.
You have to have a big pool for the system to work.
Right, in order to, you know,
Well,
like you get the money
His
in there.
thing is, it's gonna automatically go on their bill unless they opt out, and they can. But if they opt out, then they're out for a year.
So Dale, why $3? That just, did you?
I like the
guess-
math equation. I
Okay.
thought $3 would be more than enough to cover it when we had, on the example we had, we showed our claims report last time we had a meeting.
It
So
would,
that'd be
based on what
6,000
we've
a
had in
month.
the past, yes.
So that'd be
72,000
a year.
Everybody, but if it don't, you know, it could be adjusted, but I think that would be a small enough number, everybody would be happy with paying
You could
just a
implement
little
it
bit
for,
to
if you
support our.
decided to, you could implement it for a year and then review it after,
In review.
Yeah.
and see if it's working or not.
And there may be some years there's a small profit, and some years we may have a small deficit if there's a, but I think mathematically with 2,000 meters, I think you're gonna, surely there'll be less leaks than there would be.
But Becky, we didn't spend $72,000 on redoing people's water bills last year, did we?
It's like, right now, when we forgive sewer, we're just out the money, but now we're getting paid for all the water that went through it.
I'm covering both services with this one, sewer and water.
So you're actually, it's
Instead of
$1.50 a month for
we're getting-
water,
we're
$1.50 for
getting-
sewer.
Yeah,
So you're getting two, you know, I mean, that's, yeah. So council, do you wanna vote on that now? You wanna, wait, study it some more, get some more information, or what do you wanna do?
I'll make the motion, they can vote yea or nay.
Make your motion to approve this $3 a month, and then work out some details.
Effective when?
If we
Beginning
gotta
of-
do it twice, we'll make it effective March. If we go and do it once, we'll make it effective whenever
Do you
your
want-
guys' cycle works
So
out.
do you want to leave it as is on here, or do you wanna distinguish between residential and commercial?
Well,
It's hard to
I don't think an insurance office has a higher risk than a house. That's commercial.
Correct.
But the only true commercial, we've had a couple industrial accounts that might, you know, a few factories and mobile home park, that's the only place.
Well, I mean,
with
I
highest gallons.
And as far as the trailer park,
Families.
I wonder if the one out here on 95 has individual meters, or they just pay one meter?
They just
Instead
pay
of,
one meter.
instead of distinguishing between residential
think
and commercial,
gallons
we could
usage.
pick a gallons of usage.
Yeah, so if a
That's a good
typical house is
idea.
2,000 gallons or less, then I think I'd do, wherever that line is, but I don't know what that number is.
What did you say, how much?
If a typical house is 2,000 gallons of water or less, that's a residential service.
Free, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'd say,
I don't
I'd say
wanna-
more like.
I don't wanna pick
Carmen,
on,
what would you say, 3?
pick on them.
Probably, more in the
But-
summertime.
Yeah.
Instead of doing
Longer.
residential and commercial, we've got 3 trailer parks in town, and we all understand that they have multiple trailers on them, and they're all
You
metered
know,
to
like
1 meter. You could just write
Duraline
it
has a lot of
to
water
add,
usage.
you could just add it for trailer parks.
And apartment complexes, same thing.
Yeah, multifamily is.
I'd rather like 5,000 gallons at $10 fee versus a $3 fee.
Yeah, 5,000 would catch
Like some of them.
all the houses, sure.
When they have a lot of them on the same
On the
line.
same meter. I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like, same thing, like Carolyn's saying, like Grove Square, all of theirs are square.
But they don't take
That's an
showers, it's just
example.
typically stools.
Well, see, this
It's mostly
place,
just toilets, yeah.
this place right below us, they put all them on 1 meter, they told me.
What place?
The brick place down here?
Mhm.
Well, I can see that, but, you know, it's like an apartment building. I mean, if they got a trailer
The
park,
State Street apartment.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, how do
I'm
you wanna
thinking
do?
like gallons of usage makes a
I
little bit
think-
more sense,
yeah.
because then you don't have to be, because everything's gonna have its little nuances about
Yeah.
usage, I mean.
So if you burn over
I
5,000
shut
gallons a
that
month,
first.
it's gonna be higher.
I got $3 for up to 5,000 gallons, which is residential coverage, and over 5,000 would be $10 a month.
This is gonna be an average, right? If you went 5,000 one month, it's not gonna throw you off.
Yeah,
If you watered your yard too much or something,
Build a pool.
yeah,
And we'll review it after a year.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
And if you're gonna fill a pool, I mean, the thing is just, you know, go down there and call and say, hey, I'm gonna fill my
Yeah.
pool.
and they can opt out of it if they don't want the coverage.
Exactly,
Right.
right.
Yeah, they can go road.
For $1.50, I believe I would. I mean,
So
right there.
$3 up to 5,000 gallons and $10 a month if you're over 5,000.
Unless you guys, behind the scenes, know what the gallons would be, but I thought that
I
might
think
be.
that's a pretty good threshold, I
Yeah.
honestly do.
I don't think ours is, ours is not that much.
Do you think we need to take it to 10?
I think, Webb, it's a good point, but
$10 for
if
10,000.
if you wanna fill your pool, I think you just come in and say, hey, I'm gonna fill my pool maybe over 5,000 for that one time. I
I
don't
think if
think
it's 1 month, it's not gonna throw
it's
you
not gonna
off.
penalty, no, cause the rest of the month,
They can see.
if they
what
do
your
an average,
is.
could do it an average.
Was that what you were asking, Dad?
Or you mean?
No,
Do you
I
think $10
yeah.
is too much,
I
that's
thought
from 3 to
about, yeah,
10?
the
Yeah.
$10.
He's probably thinking maybe 7 or something. I mean,
But
that's what I mean.
$10 though is
Well,
$120 a year.
$10
To
is
have an
covering
insurance
duplexes,
policy, if there's a
apartments and the
water
rental
leak,
parks,
like,
which
I
is-
think that's
less per
a
unit.
bargain.
That just,
I think
So
the
his-
business see it that way,
Users.
so that's right, they also have multiple users,
Yeah.
if it's an apartment complex
Right.
or
'Cause
a
I
trailer
know-
park and they just need to
If I was a trailer park,
share the fee.
this $1.50, this $1.50 for sewer and water that I'm gonna pay, I guarantee it's gonna go on their rent bill.
but I think it's.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like, they can
They're gonna get it
limit
back.
the majority of them, and I still think $120 annually for that type of,
Dale's
insurance
motion
policy
is
reasonable.
$3
Yeah.
for 5,000,
Breaks down, Jamie.
5,000 above,
$5,000.
$10.
Mhm.
You know,
All right, we have a motion, have a second?
I second.
I'll second it.
Second by Brenda. Mark, how you vote?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll make it effective March 1, that'll give us time to take care of the billing side of it.
how will it be communicated with the public?
We'll have to send out a newsletter to everybody that's got, which I need to keep up on the newsletters.
And you'll have to, you and Kim.
We'll have to send it to all of our customers.
Put an example like that in it.
Yeah, because I mean, and if it's self-explanatory, I mean, I think that'd be good.
Well, I think we can break it down a little more like what this NLC service line program did and to where they understand that they are purchasing kind of an insurance policy.
And if they call and say, well, you know, the other options was $15 a month from this other company, we'd rather do it in-house.
Larry, I guess Larry, in hearing all of this, if you thought we were going the wrong direction, you'd stop us and speak up, right?
Now, I'm listening closely.
Like we're not going into the insurance business
Right.
here or anything, but
He forgot
does
to
that
tell-
sound good?
he forgot to tell you you came here.
Down though, for those that don't have sewer,
What are they doing with their sewage?
Well, we
It's
have,
going into my septic tank.
yeah, we have a few that
Because I
just
don't have sewer, I just have
My
water.
house has no
So that's why I
sewer.
wonder.
we
'cause I
have a
just
few
have
that
water.
just
at
have
my
water.
place.
Yeah, I'm one of,
Well,
I'm probably one
Yours
of
is
the few, I
$10,
guess.
yours
I
is,
didn't know,
yours
like,
is $10 because you're out there.
But we're insuring against a water
Giving
leak.
you a break.
Right,
There's
right,
no
exactly.
breakdown for the sewer.
I don't think
No.
we should do that. I think it should be the same.
I think it's,
Because
yeah,
you're insuring a water leak.
right, I think, yeah.
And we're insuring your total water bill minus your
Yeah,
2 months
the
deductible.
total.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, it's a better deal for those because the ones that have a water leak and they don't have sewer, we can't adjust anything
yeah.
right
Yeah,
now.
it's good. And the other thing to me is, I don't wanna put more work on Brooke and the crew and everybody, but how can we educate the public? Check your lines and keep up on your line from the meter to the house. I mean, mine's PVC, it was put in 20 years ago, but,
I might do
Dig
door
it up,
you know,
stick on it.
I mean,
It's
I don't
underground,
have,
I don't know until.
But a lot
Until
of
you have
it's
a leak,
stuff
that's
on
what
the-
happened to me. We
on
had
some pipes
galvanized and we
underneath the
had, we
house.
had PEX all the way
Some people
from
don't
the
know
meter
until
to
they
the
start
house
to pull
replaced
across
when
their
we had a
yard
leak.
and they sink. And
well,
then
to
they
me,
don't
I
know
think
yet.
with these new meters, I know that's a lot of money, but I'm anxious to see, because then I'll be able to tell how much water that I'm using. I know these new meters are probably gonna be more accurate, but I just, you know, I think anything that helps, you know. Okay, nonprofit mini grant. You have a
So-
copy of that, Becky, go ahead.
Yeah, so what you have is we are totally open to whatever changes you wanna make. What Mark mentioned at the meeting was the possibility of making a grant available for not-for-profits, kinda like the mini grants that we already do, that they can apply for. They can use it towards paying for the insurance policy that they have to get if that's what they choose to do, or they can, for whatever.
But now this is for everybody, right?
This
The
is for-
VFW, the Y, and
This is for everybody.
Chamber, and everybody. Okay.
We put on there that the applications would be due by March 1, mainly because that's about the time of year that we are planning our budget for the year. So it seemed like a good time to have all those applications in by March 1 so we know what to
Are they
budget.
going out this week?
Well, I mean, you guys haven't approved this yet, so
If we approve it, would it go out that quickly?
we'll make it available. We don't really know who's gonna want them.
And we gotta get the word to them.
I mean, we can put information
Just
out
anybody that
that it's
already
available.
has would be,
The only ones we would know to give them to would be the ones that we already have under mini grants, but if it's organizations that we're not aware of.
Nation, that people do.
So
Well,
the ones that are existing, we would let them
My
know.
experience with grants in the past is, they don't tell you there's a grant there, you gotta go searching for them, so.
And I think most of them, the ones that we already deal with, we would let them know about the application. The ones that already buy insurance policies, stuff like that, that we already know
Cause,
about. we
cause
would let
some of them
know.
already, I mean, we know the revenue and expenditures that they do, they kinda give us a breakdown of all that.
But you know, like the chamber purchases insurance, but we also give them a mini grant. We have, let's see, the Fair Board purchases insurance for events. The Heritage Fest people, Winterfest. Who else, Kim, help me?
Do the people that the car shows on, do they have to have insurance?
Yes, they buy it.
So that would help them.
Mhm. So those are, the ones that we know about that purchase insurance policies, we would let them know about the grant. And then
Yeah.
beyond that, they'll just have to,
Now, like the chamber where
see, how would
they
you
pretty
handle,
much
you know,
get
the,
a year,
the chamber
worth.
already gets a yearly, you guys already give a yearly, mini grant to the chamber, to the VFW, the YMCA,
But are they gonna fill out one of these two now? or-
University Extension.
Do they do, well, they're gonna need to fill out one too?
They haven't because you guys did a contract with them that renews each year.
so is that where we're shifting from for these
I don't know,
contracts to
that's what we
something
need
like
to-
I don't
this?
think we
For those,
thought about that.
Yeah.
When we were talking about this earlier.
And these are much
Way to-
smaller.
And this might be a micro mini grant.
Yeah, this is,
a micro mini.
maybe we could call these mini grants. I mean, the others are just,
Our contract for hire, or
I
contract
don't
for
know.
services.
I mean, we call the others mini grants, so I don't know what you want.
Might need to change
This-
that.
I
Most
just
of
would,
those are
I would hate
different
to, because
relationships
those,
in my eyes.
those relationships
more
are, they provide
They're like
service.
established,
Yeah.
like buildings of
And they
people.
provide,
Like, I
they
feel like
provide a
there's,
service to our community.
Year
Right.
round, usually.
right.
I think
So
this here
I feel
just
like-
gets it out there where the council can take a look at it, see what they wanna do, what they
Maybe
need,
we
what they
should call
want, and
this
go from there.
special event mini grant.
Yes,
application.
There you go.
yes.
How about we
That's
call it
good.
special event?
Right.
Instead of it being just
mini
a
grant.
not-for-profit asking for whatever, that this would be special event mini grant.
Because they're gonna bring it to the council, and the council's gonna say, you know, so we don't, like with the Heritage Festival and all them, so they can have an idea what's going on, so they know.
But we
So
will have a
we
budget,
give a
say,
mini
we say
grant
that
to-
$5,000 a year we might have available.
Right.
And if it's, we got a greater need than we do of funds,
Right.
we just have to give maybe 80% of their money or 75% or.
So right now, Webb, we already give the grants to Chamber, YMCA, Fair Board,
BFW.
VFW.
So when, I'm gonna use this because it was.
No, we don't
brought
give
up.
the
We
fair
don't do
money.
the Fair
When-
Board.
No.
When, VFW was going on about they had to buy insurance, but we'd already give them a grant.
We give them a grant every year. We've done it for
Okay,
years.
so are we gonna give them this grant also?
That, if they're gonna apply for special event, this would, to me, this will be special event.
Like the parade, the
Mini
Veterans
grant.
Parade.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so they,
Stuff.
they can get this
Yeah,
on
they
top of
can-
On
it.
top of what
And
they
it's-
already
And
have.
it
Yes.
doesn't cut into their funding.
That way, we're not, that way we're not crossing
No,
over
but the
those
VFW,
contracts we
Pete and that
already
group,
have.
they don't do they don't do the parade, it's a different group, right?
It's the Veterans Group,
It's
It's
American.
American Legion.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
We, we could say if there's not enough money, we could say, well, you already got all this one.
Well, the thing about it is, you know, you could make it like a competition grant. Look at your applications, and if you think one is gonna be more, productive for what the city wants, and one next to it is not, you can eliminate that one.
And like Dale said, if you got a budget and you got 10 and you only have enough for 8, you may only give them 80%
I
of what
don't
they
know
asked for.
what we'll see, you know, we just
Yeah.
need to put it out there, see what we get in, and once we get the
And have a press
applications
release in
in
the
by
newspaper.
March first.
I
then we
see, I
can
think
go
it ought to
through
be,
it.
I think we could put something, can we do Becky, can you put something in the newspaper? I mean, without
Yeah,
having to cost a
Facebook.
Putting
fortune?
it out on
I would like to
Facebook.
see all of our
Facebook is the
stuff
best.
go back. If everything we put on Facebook and like send with the water bill or whatever, I'd still like to see us utilize the newspaper again.
We do.
But not, we don't have to put everything in the newspaper though.
All of, any ads that we put on Facebook, we put in the newspaper. We usually send it over to, and sometimes if we miss it, he usually will email us and say, I saw
Tell
this on
them I want a
Facebook,
mini
will
grant to
you?
pay for our advertising.
I'm sorry, what?
Tell the newspaper editor that we want a mini grant to pay for our advertising.
Here's good.
Most of our stuff ends up being legal notices and stuff like that anyway, so you have to pay
What
for
about
that
your
to be in
bids?
there, but
The-
bids, we put the
You're
bids.
still putting those
Mhm.
in the newspaper?
Oh, yeah,
We
that's
send
law,
bids
that's law,
over,
you gotta do
all
that.
of our election stuff, all of our,
Well, yeah, I know that, but
Yeah.
I was thinking that some items we moved away that we weren't
I
putting in
don't
the
think so,
newspaper
I think
anymore.
we
Okay.
still send everything to the newspaper. Yeah, we still.
Yeah.
If he sees that we put a help wanted on Facebook, he'll usually contact us and ask us if we wanna put it in the
Okay.
paper for a couple of weeks.
Okay, so on this mini grant, what do you wanna do with that, council? You wanna approve this? Becky, what'd you say
Let's
change
call
it
it
to?
special events.
Yeah.
Special event, so we wanna
Mini
approve
grant.
that and go forward, or what do you wanna do? Any discussion?
I'd make a motion to, approve the specialized event grant.
second.
The way Becky had it
Yeah.
said, second for Webb? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. That is, all of old business. We've taken care of, appointment of Carmen. Zero tolerance policy. This fella didn't show up. So we're with, Jordan again. Animal registration ordinance, first and second reading. Jordan, if you wanna come on up and discuss that.
So basically with the new ordinance, it's just revising, the way it was written before, we always had numbered plates for the dogs for their city licenses. 99% of people do not put them on their dogs. So I wind up getting their dogs are licensed, but I have no way to identify who they belong to. So I thought a better solution to that would be using microchips. As long as there's nobody afraid of needles, I can show you guys kind of what microchips are, answer any questions you have about them. Nobody's gonna pass out or anything.
Can I see one?
Yep. So this is a new
Tag the
one.
mayor, so we can track it.
Yeah, you can put it right there, yeah.
This is a new one, so I'll let you look at that, but I have an old one that I can show you actually.
So
what
now,
the chip looks
so
like.
this goes under the skin and then the tag is there too.
The tag they can put on the collar if they want to. It does go under the skin, and then I have, or any vet has a microchip reader, and I can show you all how it works.
So how much is this?
I can get those for $5 a piece.
So what's it cost to get them inputted and all that?
I can input them, so it doesn't cost anything. It would just be the cost of the chip or whatever, however we have it listed for the fee schedule.
And it's only $5?
I can get them for $5 because I found a way through that company since we are an animal shelter.
But Jordan, what goes in their skin? I don't see nothing in their skin.
I'm getting ready to show you guys an old one. So this is an old microchip. The new ones are actually even smaller than this, but I'll just walk around with it.
Basically about the size of a grain of rice.
Yeah, they're about the size of a grain of rice. And you can, each of them has an individual number. Every single one that's made in the world has their own number. And it goes under the skin. This will stay with the animal for the life of the animal.
So where do you, on a cat, where do you put them?
You put it between the shoulder blades under the skin.
Right on the top. And
Yeah.
dogs, same place?
Same place. Sometimes they do migrate. But when we scan them.
I passed that way if you wanted to pass the syringe around to see.
But when you scan them, I can show you. So I have my chip reader. And vets, anybody can buy one of these.
Are they expensive?
Not too bad. It depends, some of them, you know, the quality, you get some cheaper ones, they're not gonna last as long. Better quality ones are gonna be more expensive. And it works really well. I think we paid right around $50 for this one. So they're not expensive. But this bead will be under their skin and you scan it and it pops up a number that I can input this into a system on the internet or my system, my own personal system.
So if I have a chip reader and a dog, I can do that on my own computer?
Yeah, anybody can. And it basically, this number will link with the owner's information. If an owner decides that they want to abandon the dog in Mountain Grove and they're going to erase their contact information from this, I can still go and find where the chip was sold, who implanted the chip. I think it's going to help prevent a lot of abandonment cases. And not only that, but it's going to keep a lot of dogs out of our shelter because if I pick up a dog, I can scan them. I can, in my truck, I can figure out where they belong and I can go knock on the door and say, hey, I have your dog.
So the question is, if this is implemented, how many dogs in town, and I don't know cats, but how many dogs in town do the people not register?
Majority of them.
Okay.
This year, we had right around 300 dogs and cats that were licensed with the city, and I'm here to tell you, there's a whole lot more than that in town, because we had 280 go through the shelter. So,
They weren't.
yeah, those weren't, you know, not.
So if I have a dog and I have a dog and I don't register it, and it comes to you, there's a fine?
Yeah, you'd be issued a citation, and
So it's cheaper to put a chip in and get them registered. So
Yep.
how much is it gonna cost if you wanna do the chip to get it registered?
so the thought was, and the way I wrote this out, if they do a microchip, it would be at like a permanent registration. So it'd be just the cost, which I think is $25. That would stay with the animal for the life of the animal. And then the only requirement would be to update the rabies. So $25.
And then the rabies update would be on the chip.
It would not. So anytime, like every year on March 31st, the animal licenses start over. So each year, they would just have to bring me their proof of rabies. They wouldn't be required to pay for a tag or anything like that. It would just be proof of rabies. The new system I have actually has an area in it where I can take a copy of their rabies certificate and I can set an alert to where if a dog has a permanent license, if they're licensed with a microchip, it'll send me a notification that I need to contact them and get an updated rabies.
I would think that the vet could scan it and enter that they gave them a rabies shot in the system. And then it'll-
So the microchips, they don't keep information. However, in my system that I use for record keeping through the city, I can. So I can put a microchip number in my system, you know, and I could give access to the vets. Whether they want to do it or not will be up to them, but I
They
could give
just fax
access.
you over a sheet of all the rabies they gave and
Yeah,
That'd be nice if once they do that, if they say, hey, I live in town, boom, send that to Jordan.
yeah. And Williams Vet, because we work with them, they do already. The other vets, I'm sure they would be happy to, so.
Jordan, I'm mildly confused. Right now, is it $5 per year for the Emmanuel tag for the collar?
It is so if they renew it on time, it is $5 if the animal is fixed, $10 if they're not. After their animal, that price doubles. It goes to 10 and 15, and I think it's 10 and 15.
And if they don't sign it up at all, you said a citation, what's involved there?
I issue them a citation and they go to court.
So what's the
and
fee or fine for that?
don't quote me on this, but I believe it's around $60.
50/50.
50.
Plus-
So they can
plus
pay
court costs.
$5 for a
How much does
tag.
court cost, Larry, 20?
$32.50, so $83 for a failure to register a dog.
So Jordan, how come if I wanna put a chip in a dog, and I'm just asking, why couldn't it be $10 instead of 25?
you get lifetime.
Yeah, it's
It's
just,
lifetime.
it's the
Once I
lifetime.
pay the 25, I'm done.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the license anymore. It's just, at that point, it's updating their rabies vaccination, which is supposed to be done
But if I go to the
anyway.
vet and have that done, it's gonna be more money, right?
If
Which I
you,
understand, yeah,
if you have the microchip done or the rabies?
the microchip.
Microchip is more expensive through the vet than what we charge, yes.
Can I go to a regular grocery or feed store and get a rabies shot and give my dog or cat?
No, rabies is not, I mean, you could, but legally, it's not recognized.
It's
Not
not,
over-the-counter medicine.
People can get a rabies vaccination, but legally, because it's regulated by the state, and it's not recognized unless it's administered by a licensed veterinarian.
Because rabies is a human health disease, zoonotic disease, so you have to have a licensed professional give that
Yeah,
vaccine
people vaccinate,
to verify
you know,
that it's-
you can vaccinate your cattle or whatever you want with rabies, but unless it's administered by a licensed vet, it's not recognized.
I'm surprised with the new law, but they let them sell it.
On the books now, cats are not mandatory to be registered with the tag or anything?
Yes, they are.
The cats are still.
If they're outside,
Which there's no way to police that. There's no way to, I mean, it's,
not really, but you would be surprised the amount of calls I get from frustrated neighbors who say, I know that cat belongs to that person, and I'll go talk to the person, and they'll say, yeah, it's my cat. And then we can require that they license them.
I've got a whole sluice of little kittens running around my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeding them?
If, if she's not, I'm sure.
so Jordan, what else, basically this ordinance is, that's what it is about.
It's
chipping.
just updating it to where people can do a microchip or a tag. The only other change that I made was for the cats, that if they go outside, they're required to be spayed or neutered, so we're not adding to the population issue.
That's good.
What's it cost to get a vet to spay or neuter a cat?
Depends on what vet you go to. The cheapest one in our area is gonna be Sally Bird, and I think she's around $60 to $80. Other vets are gonna be anywhere from 110 all the way up to 175. It just,
For a cat?
yeah, it just depends.
Does it matter if it's spayed or neutered? Same price, cat?
Spay is usually
it's
more.
significantly different, because one's an intra-abdominal surgery, while the other one is not.
Yeah, spay is usually quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, cats, they used to just stick them in a boot and take care of the male. Well, I mean, They didn't pay that $60, just like we did pigs, calves, you know, I mean. Gee, banned them, I guess you could ban them.
No, you cannot ban them. This is my industry as veterinary. Do not get me on this high horse right now about neutering cats in
So
booths.
Jordan,
I have a question about if your pet already has a microchip, is that just something that they submit
If they're already
to?
microchipped, then I put that in there also. I would basically just go scan the microchip, check the number, make sure the information on the microchip matches up with the owner, and then it could be used. If it doesn't match up, then I wouldn't be able to use it. I had was if somebody gets a dog that's microchipped to somebody else, I contacted microchip companies so if they do that, they can still get it put in their name. What they do is contact the microchip company tries to contact the previous owner or does make contact with the previous owner. If they don't make contact within 7 days, that's technically considered like a stray hold. At that point, they'll release the number, or the individual who had the dog before could just tell them to release the number so they can get it in their name.
Well, that's a safety, I mean, that's a safety thing for people who have the dogs too. I mean, if the
Yeah.
dog's stolen and it's chipped, that makes a difference.
Yeah, having a dog with a microchip is the easiest way to prove owner.
Okay, any other discussion?
yeah, I've got a couple more questions. Are we trying to solve rabies? We're trying to solve the population growth of cats? Or are we just trying
The
to
licensing
identify
is the
owner for all
biggest.
three?
Well, the licensing is the biggest issue.
5R tag?
Yeah, and nobody does it. So what happens is, I've had multiple cases where I have dogs in the shelter who live in town, but their owners do not want to come pick them up to pay to get them out or what have you. So they'll abandon them in the shelter. If the dogs are microchipped and require, licensed, microchipped, whatever, it's just going to help us to get those dogs back home or to responsible for their animals.
But am I
Exactly.
right that no one does it unless their dog gets picked up, and then at that point they'll do it and go through the process. Up to that point, they always just,
Pretty much, yeah.
And have to pay the fine, $80-some.
Yeah, and then to reclaim their dog, to reclaim a dog from a shelter, it's $15 per day for food and care and cleaning and all that, and then a $30 impound fee. So really, by paying $25, if somebody's dog gets picked up for 1 day without a microchip, it's going to automatically be $45. Or you can pay $25 and I pick up your dog, I'll bring it right to your door.
but other than the microchip, the laws are in the books, they're already going to have to pay the pet fees, the pound fees and getting the rabies shot fees and all that other stuff, and the double the
The only
license
thing,
fees.
the only thing we're changing with this ordinance is adding the microchip.
Yeah, the only thing we're
As an
changing is
option.
giving them the option to microchip instead of just doing the numbered
I'm
tag.
just thinking, how are we gonna get 1,500 owners in town to play through if they haven't been playing through the last 5 years?
You're not.
You're not.
So are we gonna be writing the $300, all these
That's-
cases, or they wait till they have their pet, they go that large, and then they get in trouble?
Yeah, and that's when I issue citations or whatever we have to do. I try to give people the opportunity to do the right thing by, if I tell them, hey, I've got your dog, but if you want to pay the $25, we can do the microchip now versus you can get a citation, they're usually compliant.
Because you said we have 300 licensed, I think that's the responsible people,
Yes,
and the other 1,700 are not the responsible.
yes.
And we also have a limit, 2 and 2, right? Is that our limit of animals in our house?
You can have 4 total, a combination of 4 dogs and cats.
Of any way.
Yeah. But most people do not license, or if they do license, their dogs are almost never wearing the tags. So, but several people do have their dogs already microchipped, and it would be a way for us to do
Have we
this.
had any
Yeah,
bites
speed
or
up
rabies
your-
being to humans at all?
We get dog bites all the time. I quarantine animals all the time.
And they've been humans and stuff?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell in the police report if there's ever a problem, because I just seen such a small number in that category. But your number was bigger in your report today.
Yeah, we get lots of dog bites every single year. And when we do, then we have to go through the health department and all of that. It's a big deal.
Have a motion to proceed.
Second.
All in favor?
You gotta roll call.
Oh, roll call.
It's
Oh,
a-
gotta do roll call, sorry. Webb, how you vote?
Yes.
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 An ordinance amending section 4-84 being the registration and tags ordinance of the city of Mountain Grove.
Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have, Mark and Webb. Mark, how you vote?
Yes.
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 Okay. And that's first reading, second reading, motion to proceed.
Motion.
I move the table the second reading till next meeting,
Pardon?
on the second reading.
Okay. Have a motion to table it to the second reading for the next meeting. Have a second?
We would for sure need to, because when is it due? When are they due? March?
March 31st is when
So
it
they have March
resets.
31st. I mean, we could do it in February. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't March 1st. It's March 31st.
I was just going by the doctrine of 2 readings at a time. I feel like I'm always rushing law, and I wanted to have, I voted for the first one, but I just want to pause on the second.
That was the only reason.
Okay.
Usually if we do it, put something on there, we like to have it spread out too. Was just the time frame of when the tags were gonna be due to get some education out there before the tags are due.
And I am working with a vet clinic to do a vaccine clinic before licenses are due. And if this goes through, then we could do
Be great.
in time, so.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to table it to table the second reading. Have a second?
Well, I mean, do we, for everything you want done, do we really need to do that second tonight?
We felt like we did just because she's trying to set up that vaccination clinic and she
What
was
would be
wanting
the
to do it.
reason for tabling it? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry.
Well, in a full year, every time we have something on the ballot or on the motion, it's always first and second, first and second. And I feel like in parliamentary procedures, we have 2 meetings a month. The first meeting is first reading, the second meeting is the second, and then it goes through. And I'm not trying to put the brakes on legislation all the time, but
We
I mean,
try
we get a
not to
big
put the
packet,
first
we
and
have to
second
crunch
ones.
it down real fast, and, you know,
Yeah, we had to rush last time. It does feel like we have more first and seconds than we do not. It's-
so that's under that.
so, This one
Well,
is
and
minor.
if it would've been, if it's a more serious thing,
Right.
yeah, I would
This
agree
one
with
is
that, but
minor.
this
Well, it's either a
is pretty
serious
cut
thing
and
or it's a
dry.
deadline thing, and we've always got a deadline crunch, and I'd like to have more margin in our thinking.
Well, but, okay, that discussion, we have a motion. Do we have a second? If we don't get a second, we'll go on to the second reading. Zach seconded.
Seconded the table.
All right, all in favor to postpone the second reading on this animal registration ordinance to the February meeting? Webb, how you vote? To postpone the second reading,
To table it.
to table it, I mean.
I don't want to table it. No.
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 No, not in this instance. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I
That's
might
what I
not for
feel.
another one, but.
No.
Yes.
No.
All right, so we have 6-2, motion to proceed with
Motion.
second,
Second.
motion, second. Webb, how you vote?
Yes.
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 Ordinance amending section 4-84 being the registration and tags ordinance of the city of Mountain Grove.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Webb, how you
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
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 Dale, thank you for bringing that up.
Well,
I
parliamentary
understand.
procedure wise, I like
Yeah.
my idea,
Yeah.
and I'm okay on the
Yeah.
vote.
And but since we do that, I mean, for me, we send everything out, and I just tell the council, if you have a question, I mean, call Becky or Kim.
Well, we
and
have
we-
one business day. We get it at
Right.
4:30 on Friday. It's a weekend, they're closed, and I'm out lollygagging.
But just email them, yeah, you know.
But we have one business day, Monday.
Right, that's true, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, there's not much time there for a 30-day
And the,
cycle.
and the weather is
Yeah.
sometimes
And
can be.
I don't know what they gotta do on Monday, but I always feel like I'm hijacking their time.
But I agree with you, Dale. I think that we need to make our best effort to have a first reading and then have a second reading separated into separate meetings instead of feeling this rush, because we've talked
Sure.
about this issue about rushing into things, and I think that's a good point to be made tonight, is that we
Yeah.
need to do a better job about having that
When there were
gap
two,
in between.
when there were 2 meetings a month, did you read both of the first and second reading at one of them, or did you do one at each?
Sometimes we
It just
did two,
depended.
sometimes we did
I mean,
one.
it
It
still,
depended
you
Depending on
if
what
still,
it
it was
was.
like an emergency
Yeah, it's
situation that would
still-
arise instead of just lack of planning or.
yeah,
I mean,
because
if
I
it's
can't
like a
say that we
planning,
won't
that's-
ever do it again, because we
Well,
will.
I get that, but I know
Well,
we have
that's
a
the
lot of
thing,
votes.
like more,
both
I think we
sides
need to
there.
be more often than not be the
Yeah.
separation.
Well, I mean,
Just do our best to.
just whatever.
to do
All right,
that. Yeah.
We
moving right
will
along.
make our best effort.
Yeah.
Soccer field fence, Carolyn?
Oh, yes, and not necessarily just at the soccer field, it's our, our new fence. How long's it been up, 3 years? Today to try to find
Can't
some
remember.
information on it.
It's been at least 2 years.
Yeah, at least two.
23, I didn't want to dig through all that, but yeah, I saw 723, but all the way from the fairgrounds down to senior center. Oh, I don't think there are many of us that have been on council when Tim first had the school make the fence for us, but, at that time, we were trying to clean up and beautify our town, and that was gonna be a statement piece, when they entered town on Road 60, that nice fence, and I know there'd been discussion at that time of painting it black, but, Becky said she doesn't recall that, and Webb just looked at me like I had 2 heads, so I don't know if he remembered it or not.
I remember
Anyway.
talking about it, it was, it was to be
We were
painted.
Tim was gonna have it primed. She said if people panic when they see the primer going on, that orange red color, tell them that's his primer. Anyway, I just was visiting with her, recently, wondering if that was just still on the radar. Cause to me, right now, the rusty fence, I think it would be really nice,
Our park people do it, we buy the paint.
Yeah,
It's not easy to do, and you gotta do it right, because if you don't do
you
it
have to
right,
buy the right paint for that.
you have to buy the
metal.
right paint, and you have to do it right, because if you don't, you'll end up doing it again, spending twice the money.
It's
and it's a
gonna involve,
process.
so down at the very end, going into the fairgrounds, L&R did that entrance. And it's done in the metal too, so if we do the fence, you're gonna have to do that too.
Right.
So, they had just recommended to let that patina the way it is and it'll be fine. So if we were gonna paint it, if we're gonna paint the fence, we need to paint it too. It all needs to be done.
And you need to power wash it, and you need to put the right primer on it, and it's a process.
But it'll
I
be
know
worth it.
Tim's,
Yes.
You'd have to wire brush it.
yeah, it'll
Yeah,
have to be
wire
wire
brush.
brush now. It'll-
Well, if you power wash it the right way, you can, and use the right primer, you can help it, but
it'll have
it
to be
depends.
wire brushed.
and if you,
Well, I should have brought this up earlier, I guess.
It's,
Well-
Tim was
it's
always
just-
waiting till a downtime,
yeah.
as I recall.
Yeah, that was gonna be
The
my
guys do it.
question, timing of when to do
We
it.
may just, Danny, we may just
Between
have
weather
Mowing
and spring
season is
sport.
in
a work day and
Cincinnati.
have volunteers come and bring a wire brush and start wire
Right,
brushing,
exactly.
because it's a job.
That crew is who is going to be building our bathrooms at the square. And I think you guys kinda want that to be a priority too, for us to get those built.
And the fence.
Is this something that we
So-
can, kind of plan out for something in the nearer future? I mean, I guess maybe look at the projects that need to be done and determine just kind of time and expense wise, like
Well, the fencing
man
is
hours,
gonna
the
be a
right
lot
type
of
of paint,
hours.
all that
And
kind
it
of
may be
stuff.
something that we may have to start and do a section and then do some projects.
Exactly,
and
right.
then-
Yeah, maybe
It's
phase it out.
probably not gonna
and-
be-
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to have
I'm
Tim
not gonna
and
be able
his
to take them
guys
and stick them on that job until
and
it's
have them
done.
power wash or wire brush or whatever it's gonna take to do that, so.
It'll,
I mean, I don't think it's
It's just-
unsightly, but I do think it's something that it'd be nice to have it
I think we need to
look
paint it
good.
Kubota orange, so, but I mean, that's just me. Danny?
I'll go with black.
I was gonna say, you better paint it maroon and gray in this town.
That's
if
another
you're gonna
point,
do
marine and gray,
anything
or
other than black.
Massey Ferguson red and gray,
Let's
you
do
know.
black.
I would be a popular person. I like the patina look to it.
I do
I
too,
do too.
but
How about Kat?
that's how we leave some of ours at home, but.
Yeah.
I like it on a farm.
It's
yeah,
not
but-
in danger of rusting out, but it's like that, right? Okay.
Well, it's gonna rust, but it'll be there.
It just patinas out.
Your great-grandchild was born when, last Thursday? Yeah. He's our age.
Yeah, grandchild is
Grandchild.
quick to correct you on that.
Grandchild. When that grandchild she's our age, yeah, that fence will still be there. All right, moving right along. Anything else, Carolyn?
No, so we can do that then, put it on the to-do list.
We'll put it on the to-do list.
Put it on the project
Thank
list.
you.
Yeah.
Well,
The
has it
unfinished-
always been on your list? It's just back in the back a little bit
No,
down.
it really
Well,
wasn't.
we used to
but
have a project list, an ongoing one, that would be something.
Tim and
be
them
nice
always
to-
have an ongoing project
Yeah.
list.
Well, I mean, that we would kind of, that would be in our packet, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Just to,
Yeah, Tim and them in the Parks Department, they have an ongoing list. And Bo has a pretty good list right now. He's not listening, but. Okay,
Okay.
are you ready for my report?
Go right ahead.
He didn't show up.
We've talked most of it, haven't we?
Okay, we have, Twin City Sewer Project, that project is complete. I think we finally got the rest of the DRA money that was to be paid to Courtney's, and we wrote a check out to them today for that. So I think that should finish up that project.
For Lake Lily.
Lake Lily, the first pay request for that project has been submitted for the dirt work that they've completed so far, and those requests will be paid on a reimbursement basis. There's been a lot of progress over at the lake, but we're still really, really early in that project. And obviously, weather is gonna play a big role in how quickly that project gets done. They're pretty much at a standstill over there. The Bulldog project, the lift station has been installed out there at Bulldog. I know you guys have seen a lot of that mess. Complete the lines, they've been kind of at a standstill too a little bit with all the weather. MoDOT did get their engineer hired, and he's been working with our engineers out there. Then they're gonna start their project of taking it on out to the station.
Did we, all the Bulldog project money paid out?
Do what now?
Is the Bulldog project money paid out?
As far as our match on it?
Oh, no, I mean, has he been paid and everything?
No, on Bulldog, no, not all of it.
We're still within the time frame, right?
Yeah, well, we had to actually do an extension because they wanted that project, DRA wanted the project done by the end of December, but they knew that because it
The weather
took so
and
long and
everything, right.
everything, that it wasn't gonna get done by
Well,
the end of December.
They're okay with
So
it.
we did have to do an extension. City Hall renovation, the soffit and fascia, that's kind of, they've started it, they've done some repairs on it, but it's not done and it's been delayed due to the weather.
Hey, Becky, could we hop back up to the, unfinished, or to our ongoing projects? What about, is that 20th Street? No, not, 21st? What's that street out there?
Our extension, oh, it's
Yeah.
down here, it's the next thing down after the shed.
Number 5.
Oh, yes, I remember reading that because we were gonna talk, okay,
Yeah.
so that's why it's not included.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The concrete, on the city shed, the concrete has been poured, he's letting that cure. And affected all that, we're waiting, when the weather clears, he'll be putting the building up there. 20th Street sewer extension, that is where we're, extending our sewer, out there to the, old Earth Outdoors property. One of the easements has been signed and completed, that is for the, Kelly property. I have an appointment with, one of the others in here tomorrow, but I do have one of them that has an easement that I need to discuss some real estate issues on that one in closed session. Masonic Lodge, the zoning board reviewed the Masonic Lodge issue that was sent back to them. They recommended the zoning return to R2. And that issue will be back on the agenda for final approval for the council at the February meeting because it has to lay for 15 days before it comes back. Talked about Jordan, the nonprofit grant applications, the fence, the parking garage. Okay, so you guys have this sheet and has a drawing. So the gentleman that came down and this pre-stressed casting company, and then you, on the back, you have a copy of the information that he sent to me. So this is a concept drawing that's based on the lot measurements that he can get from Google Earth because we don't have an engineer that's actually went in to shoot that yet. The intent here is just to give an idea of how many parking spaces there is, how the traffic flow would be, how many spaces could potentially be available. It's not been through an ADA or code study of any kind, so that could change things a little bit. He uses 9 by 18 foot parking spaces, one-way traffic, but kept the lane width wide enough in the parking bays to park 90 degrees. It'll maximize the space count with it being like this. The entry and exit lane will need to be reviewed for traffic flow, but it should work based on previous experience is what he said. He left enough room for one stair and an elevator if needed and a section opposite corner if code requires a second stair. He assumed about half of the walls would be cast in place and the other half would be precast load bearing. He calls this a podium style deck because he said it's called that if you are building this type of a structure and you're going to have retail or housing above it. It changes how many posts have to be down in there, what the load will be on it, and so he's basing this on the fact that this would have retail space above it. Now, I talked to Sarah Callahan with SCOCOG on the grant. She said the grant is available. We could apply for it, but she said the maximum we can get is $500,000 on the parking garage. I have no idea what a parking garage costs so I had this gentleman with pre-stressed concrete. I said, you know, just based on what we're looking at here, give me an idea of what it would cost. Do you guys have a ballpark figure of what you think a parking garage costs?
I'm guessing a couple million is.
How much?
2.5 million.
For that concrete?
Yes. And the most you can get in grant money is $500,000.
Wow. So we'd have $2 million for the.
That's what we're talking about.
Swimming pool or extra parking?
Why do we need a parking garage?
We looked at this as an option to get it brought up to grade, because they told us that there was a grant available to do a parking garage, and nobody was doing anything with the property. So our thoughts were, let's get the grant, let's put the parking garage, get it up to grade, and then that'll make it more marketable to get that whole. The big thing was.
And for events, we wouldn't need.
It'd be nice to have parking.
And it would,
There's
we,
no problem about having a place to park.
Right,
We-
it's just for the big heritage.
we also,
festivals.
but not at that cost.
Yeah,
That grant seems kind of
yeah, I feel like
Out
we were
of
led to
touch
believe.
with how much it costs to put a parking garage in.
And Sarah said the same thing, Sarah
Yeah.
Callahan with SCOCOG, she said the cost of the concrete has went up so much from when they first started offering this type of grant for the parking garages. Plus, you know, they're only gonna invest $500,000, they want you to invest $2 million, and then you've gotta maintain it as a parking garage for at least 10 years, where you gotta pay the grant money back, which it should last for that shouldn't be an issue, but to match the grant. so
For a
that-
parking garage.
For a
I mean.
parking garage. I have no idea what it would cost to just do a basement, like that was
I
there.
believe that the first thing that would happen is that Roll would run the city council out of town.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What, can we get a cost on just putting a slab down?
Yeah,
Pour a slab
yeah.
it helped the looks of it, people could park there, sit there, whatever they wanna do.
So one of his biggest issues too, when he was looking at it is, he said whatever goes in there is gonna have to take into account butting up against, a historic building over there. And you're gonna have to be careful how you handle what you put next to Matt's building.
And if we're trying to market that, do we wanna put any more money into it than we already have by buying it?
I mean, potentially knowing how much it costs to pour a slab
say
for
that
it to
the-
build it up, it might be part of how we could market it.
Well,
is
let
that
me
the
get some
city
information before
contribute.
next council meeting on what it would be
Yeah.
to do something besides a parking garage.
Right.
But
I
do
had
we
no
need to do
idea until he
anything?
gave me some.
Because it makes more sense to me to invest in something like that if we have a commitment from somebody who's gonna build on that. So if like, it's like the city puts so much towards
Right.
doing the,
An incentive.
right, exactly, an incentive to get somebody in that space.
But not
And then
until
we're
we
investing
have
at
it.
that point instead of investing now
But
and
there's
wondering
gotta
how
be a
long are we
way
gonna have to
less-
sit on it, you
There's
know?
gotta be a way cheaper way than a
A
parking.
parking garage, yeah. I think it was good to give us some insight about what it
Well,
would
it
cost to
would have
put
been good
something
if
like
you
that
could have
in,
gotten
but-
more grant money towards it.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd
Do
be
we
nice if you
ever
could've got
do
half
those
or 2 million
grants?
of it.
But
To make a little bit more sense.
2.5
of what
million
these
for a
cost.
parking garage that size seems,
So where are we at on Matt's building?
what do you mean? They released it
Yeah.
as being, I mean, he had to make some minor repairs to it, and other than that, they
Yeah,
cleared it.
that's been a number of months ago.
The
So
engineer,
long ago.
the engineer cleared the building.
He was supposed to do some work on it, but
It was minor stuff.
no, but I mean to improve it, to redo it. He had Kenny James gonna do some.
Yes, yes, and Kenny James and the engineer spoke, so, I mean, as far as I know, there's not anything, I mean, I would like to see him improve the looks of what it looks like on the outside, but.
Sure be nice if he could work with someone to tear that down and build a nice building with something, but
I mean, according to the engineer, it's a pretty solid building because it has a lot of the, steel beams in it. So that's
Mark?
why a lot of that in the back did not cave in when that happened, was because there's steel beams back
when
there.
we give him that last 6 months, when we had the meeting, he was gonna redo some stuff, or was he?
That was when he met with the
That would,
engineer.
yeah, I think that was, when we thought it was a whole lot unsafer than what it is. The engineer went through and structurally it's sound.
But when I asked him about that north wall, he said he was gonna do something in there and clean all that up.
They were just talking about a tuck point kind of stuff on the
Yeah.
north wall is all that I.
Which, you know, I mean, the engineer says it's safe. I know he's not using the whole building still, but he's using, that.
Well, I think he's having some heat problems at the moment, so.
Right, yeah. Which it's an old building and it'd take a lot to keep it
So
going.
let me see what I can come up with before the next meeting on what it would be, some other options.
Do you think it'd be worth considering, kind of after everything else is exhausted, nobody's gonna build something there, putting some grass and landscaping and make a place where we could put up a tent for people to eat under for Heritage Fest and, I don't know, something like that, make it prettier.
I mean, we gotta look at some other options
But
of what to do
if that
with
would be
it for
maybe
sure.
the cheapest option and.
Well, you've had a
That's
little bit of
kinda-
interest in it.
Getting it
haven't you?
up to
One thing
grade to me is really important.
Yeah.
Because it's.
So, because right now it's
It's
just like a big hole in the
Yeah,
ground, basically.
getting it up to
Yeah.
grade
It's
seems
not
like the
very-
biggest.
So we
It
still-
probably is very overwhelming for somebody to look at and consider
But
building.
But we
a
really
building
haven't
on
started
it.
marketing it
We have
yet,
not.
just recently too, so. did
You've
guys
had,
hear
have
that?
you had anybody that's shown interest? You've had a little bit of interest,
I
haven't
just
you?
had a couple of people, but not, I wouldn't name anything I would say serious.
I think of like staging a home, right? Like you stage
Yeah.
a home so people can see themselves in it. I think if it's at least leveled out versus
And
a
I-
hole in the
and I
ground,
think
like
we
people
need to
can
consider-
envision building on it,
It's a
right?
huge lot. When you put
Yeah.
all the lots
Yeah.
together, it's 150 by 100.
That's what I'm wondering.
So, you know, we may be looking at more than one person that
Oh,
wants to
yes.
go in there, because
Yeah.
that's a huge commitment to do 100 by 150.
And is this a project, did you tell me that Reggie is working on for us, that he's just started the marketing of it?
The
So,
marketing
see,
of
we
it.
haven't even done anything with it yet.
Yeah.
And
Not
now,
really, because we were kind of waiting to find out all this too,
Yeah.
so.
with the fires and stuff in California, you know building material's gonna go sky high, so it's gonna be hard to, you know, with everything going on.
Building materials and insurance.
I'm not-
Insurance and
I'm
everything.
looking back with hindsight, but talking about the parking, it makes me think that we should have kept the McKeldo property, not McKeldo, but the senior center property,
Oh,
looking ahead in future
For
for
parking.
parking. I mean, that would have been the perfect place.
that we gave to the
One reason why we should always look ahead at the future, I guess. when it-
crisis center.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well, I'm sure.
Are they using that?
just for staff parking, I think. I don't think they use it for anything else.
When they sell it
Maybe.
back to us? I mean, might be something to check into. Because I know we need additional parking, especially for events like that. But yeah, this just isn't reasonable, but might be something to check into.
It's only 38,000 for a parking spot.
Yeah.
Only.
38,461.
Dale and his numbers.
I know,
I
Dale,
always
you
call
can
him
always
Dale.
rely on Dale for the numbers.
Yeah.
We can afford to buy 5 parking spots right now.
Yes.
They, I mean, you know,
Well, yes,
they
they
probably,
They'll sell that to us. We'd
If
like
we
to.
ever get MoDOT to fix West First where we could pull in there below, where Walker TV used to be.
Yeah,
We already poured
Yeah.
that, yeah, we poured concrete there.
yeah.
So you can just pull in off of
Oh, yeah,
First Street.
several months ago.
I don't go that way, so I
It's
don't
not
know
here
what's
several
going
months
on.
ago, right?
All right, we have some bills to pay, the clerk has. If you take a chance to look at them. Have a motion, have a second?
second.
Also,
Second.
Kim did include for you, budget, when you get time to look at it, just to let you know where we're at. And if you'll look down through there, most all of the departments are pretty much running where they need to be for this point in the year.
You're gonna have some left over? Is it gonna be over and under some? That's
Some,
typical?
Yeah, we hope by the end of the year.
All right, have a motion,
And
a
there is
second.
a sales tax report attached for you. If you look, our sales tax for calendar year '24 was up.
And that January number represents December, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
You
that
know,
always throws
I
me
thought,
at first.
one thing that I saw was interesting, if you look at
Yeah.
the sales tax for December, which would be your November,
Before we do that, we have a motion, a second on the
oh,
table.
sorry.
Let's, all in favor to pay the bills?
Aye.
All opposed? Now, discuss.
So the December sales tax that we received in December, the 352, 562, 17, that would have been your November. If you look at how much difference there was from that time last year, I think you can attribute some of that to online sales that happened during all the Black Friday and all the special promotions during the month of November.
Now, say that again, comparing what to what again?
Okay, so in December, your sales tax revenue was 352, 562, 17.
You're
So what-
talking about, okay, but that,
When
that
you-
really represented November.
November, that's what I'm saying. So when
Yeah.
all of those Black Friday sales and everything that happened in November,
Mm-hmm.
see how much down it was from
50,
last
so
year?
almost 50,000?
I think you're seeing an indication of
Mhm.
online sales affecting the
Well,
amount of sales
I mean-
tax.
So
Yeah, we
speaking
know.
of
Yeah,
use tax
Mhm.
and putting that on the April ballot,
Because
when
are
do
we
we
a
have to
deadline?
vote on that?
Yeah, well, I told you guys that. We would have had to have voted, you guys decided you weren't gonna do that for the April ballot.
We did not.
No, we did not. I wanted to do
We
it.
didn't decide not to.
Well, we discussed it, and I said it
Yeah.
had to be done, we had to have it turned in by the end of December to do it on the April ballot. So when they do the election filings, that all has to be done at the same time.
We should have thought
Well, I'm
of it.
just gonna put it out there. I think it needs to be on the next possible ballot.
So
and-
there needs to be a lot of education.
Well, this is
before
the
we
thing,
put
I
it
think
on the ballot.
education, and we talked about, the possibility of earmarking a percentage of that for the pool.
Yes, and that's the meeting that we talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's, I don't think that would go over.
Will we vote on it
Well,
twice,
I don't
Mark? Have
know,
we
like,
done
I
that
think we
twice?
need to
Now,
look at
you
the
can't-
possibilities.
you
because-
We
cannot
had it on the
put-
ballot twice?
You
Yeah.
cannot put wording on the
We,
ballot specifying it for a reason.
We had,
The state sets what the ballot has to say.
But we can tell people that in our education of the,
You could
Yeah.
say that the
Commercials, whatever.
council is going to vote to earmark that money for a cause.
Yeah, we
But you
talked about all
cannot
that last time.
Put that on the ballot. And a council could vote and change that, because it's a council decision. Now, if it's put on the ballot a certain way, then you have to spend it a certain way. But the state will not allow us to put it, but their reading has to be on the
but like,
ballot.
for instance, it was on the ballot, 1% police and fire tax.
But we put it on there as a police and fire tax, but the state is very specific about the use tax. It has to be
Use
put
tax
on
is
exactly the way they say it
different than
has to be
sales
put on,
tax.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I think it's important to put a lot of education out there. I don't know that we would be ready to put it on the April ballot anyway, because I think you need to do a lot of education in the
We
community
had,
before you put it
the
on.
first
Well,
time we
we
run
needed
it, we
grant
had
money's what we needed. Sorry,
several
I just
public
had to say that.
meetings and that didn't work out very good. I think we had 3 people show up at all of them. And I went down to the senior center and talked and got stoned off the stage. So,
Yeah.
the
It's
word
just
tax,
It's
Gotta
just,
do-
yeah, it's just.
gotta
I think you need a lot of
Social media.
education, and you maybe need some time, a little more time to get away from,
And you need a buy-in from all the organizations around,
Yes.
chamber and everybody.
well, the first time they run it, there was 15 cities, I think, at that time that run it. And all the cities had the support of the Chamber of Commerce except Mountain Grove. And all those cities got it passed except Mountain Grove because the chamber wouldn't support.
yeah.
You think that's the way they vote?
Hmm?
I think that's the way that many vote.
Well, you
Well,
got
You
the,
yeah.
gotta, you have to get your local people to support it.
Can I
Good
ask
now.
that we put this on the agenda for next month to talk more strategy around use tax and things that we can do to help, like, what we wanna do for education, how we can get people on board?
So you would have to have it turned in to the county, I believe it's in August, if you want to do
November.
in November.
Okay,
And that
What
gives
can
us
be on
more
a
time.
November ballot?
I really honestly don't think you guys would be ready. It would just get turned down again if you
Yeah.
do it in April. I
well,
think you
yeah, and
need-
that's why I think, like,
you
if
need a
again,
lot of
trying to
time.
do things, give ourselves enough time
November.
And
To-
really, this,
Is there election?
this 10,000 we're spending on
to
the
try
pool
again.
blueprints, that's gonna be our only ticket, is
I
the
don't know, it
pool
may not be.
drawings and.
Well, you guys will be
excitement
entering,
around
by the
that.
time you go into that time of year, you're gonna be into a new budget year.
Yeah.
So. But if you talk to some of the communities that have been successful passing the use tax, they've gotten the teachers, the chamber, they get a lot of local people behind it.
Businesses.
And the
Wearing
way
t-shirts,
people look
going
at
out and
it, if-
doing information about it,
if,
educating people. It takes everybody, getting them involved and buy-in
Yeah,
before you can
if
get
your
it
local,
passed.
if your local businesses aren't worried about the use tax, why should they vote for it?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
But we
All right.
still can't depend on that money for the pool.
No, you
No.
cannot.
Because it's,
How would you guys feel about me purchasing a little AI tool that could build a bunch of videos and just start marketing it online? I think it would get the word out, and then the AI, it would save me a ton of work for creating the video. Like, they would make it really nice.
can you maybe bring something to the council, or maybe give us an example of that, so next month, whenever we talk about it, and go from there?
What's that
Careful
tool
the way
cost?
it's worded, yeah, that'd be good.
Is it cost that program a lot?
No, it'd be less than probably $20 a month or something.
Okay. All right. If not, nothing else, so motion
Motion.
to go in executive session, second,
second.
all in favor?